10 years ago, our lives changed forever. We saw the first episode and screamed, "Oh my god, that's a titan!" The walls fell and we witnessed a group of characters begin their trek through hell. One cliffhanger after another, we sat enraptured by our seats, counting down the days until the next episode's release. Each battle at first was a war to be won. Facing impossible odds, we root for Mikasa, Eren, and Armin to triumph in their battle against the Titans. And then it hit us. It's not just the Titans. The humans are also out to get us. We learned that Eren is a Titan shifter. But wait, that must mean there's more! There's Titans in the floor, there's Titans in the wall, and there's even Titans in the sky! It's rare that the story is told over the span of 10 years. It is downright incredible that it is able to sustain the level of quality Attack on Titan does. The script, the lore, the visuals, and audio are masterclass and a definition of a result that is more than the sum of its parts. Attack on Titan is a show about triumph, about love, about never giving up on your eternal goals for what you believe in. Whether you find yourself on the right or wrong side of history, I believe that the message of Attack on Titan is to persevere beyond any reason, to fight for what is right, and even in the face of unchanging destiny, stick out your middle finger and show fate who's boss. It is also a show about truth and trust. The central premise is clear. Humanity has to work together in order to persevere. All of us fulfill a role in the grand scheme of life. For some, that role is to have your life wasted as bait. For others, it is to lead and stand on the pile of bodies that their ghoulish decisions have buried. With each passing day, with every expedition, we proceed deeper into the woods, where ghosts continue to haunt us, and giant trees block even the most courageous rays of sunshine that dare to embark on this impossible quest. Attack on Titan has also made me feel trapped. I was a prisoner of its insane schedule and release dates. 10 years, I repeat, have I and many others waited to see how it's going to continue. These 10 years weren't filled with just excitement, but also grief. As we saw many great shows rise and fall, we all fear that the same future is destined for Attack on Titan. The first signs appeared towards the end of Season 1, when minor changes took effect. And then, silence. Several years of waiting before the second season was even announced. And then, it arrived, and it was incredible! If this is Season 2, what's Season 3 going to look like? Holy hell, Titans, man! There's a Titan monkey, and it's smart. Why is it hairy? I have so many questions! That's how most of our first interaction with Season 2 began. The world has expanded, yet we did not know by how much at the time. Tragedies ensued, more Titan shifters were revealed, and with every answer, we just had more questions. I don't even understand how it's possible for a story to layer on so many different mysteries and is still able to answer them with so much satisfaction. For long I have believed that the mystery is only effective as long as it remains a mystery. I have learned that this belief is a false premise built by other terrible stories which seem unable to deliver a satisfying conclusion or revelation for its most central questions. Attack on Titan delivers, and boy, the answers are somehow even more satisfying than the questions it poses. I harped about the 10-year wait, but I sincerely believe that it has aided me in my appreciation of the show. To wait for so long, to be anxiously anticipating about what's next, and to be rewarded is perhaps my favorite experience that I have had. And I honestly think that I won't get to have another one like it in my lifetime. I must keep going. When Eren punched the Titan that ate his mom, I knew I was watching something special. How was it possible for this entire story to wrap up on itself so nicely? And then, as I kept watching, in later seasons, it happened again. And I'm not kidding when I say, it happened one more time after that.
Yeah, Levi. Oh, it's お前もあんまり変わってねえな。
Kenny! The world expands once more, and we are introduced to yet another character that you can't help but fall in love with. When I was watching the final episode yesterday, I was thinking about how much I care about every single character that has been introduced. Even the ones who were supposed to be bad or just exist to be thrown away in the next scene. The world of Attack on Titan feels as real as it is mystical, and its characters are its greatest asset. The themes of Attack on Titan have been criticized as overt, expositionary, and generally not nuanced enough. I would agree with those assessments, but I would say that if you're watching the show expecting it to be a literary masterpiece, you are missing out on about 7 different other factors that make it what it is. I believe Attack on Titan is the best example of an approachable show that is able to craft a compelling narrative without getting lost in the complexity of the story it is telling. No, seriously, this thing has everything. There's time travel, giant monsters, an insane amount of characters, and not for a single time did I feel lost in what it was trying to tell me. I felt every beat, I felt every cry, and I shared every laugh. Every now and then, something will come by that feels larger than life, a zeitgeist that takes over our collective minds and remains there as a little parasite that we are so willing to feed. I wouldn't say that rewatchability is by itself a positive, but it's a great feature to have when you're trying to get your friends to watch the show with you. I have seen the entire show 3 times, and I'm not the type of guy who tends to rewatch anything. Every single time, it felt like I was watching something new, something that I haven't experienced before. Layers and layers of clues, attention to detail, the entire story was laid out for us right there from the beginning. The entire story, people, it was all there and we had no idea how oblivious we were. Maybe you're able to tell that one of my favorite characters is Eren, and perhaps you also know at what point in the show we are. I challenge you not to feel emotional. Erwin's death begins one of the most impactful emotional journeys for Levi. Erwin, the mentor who saved him from a saddened life, just sacrificed himself for humanity. Levi, his stoic companion and friend, only knows how to process emotion with sheer force and will. Starting, or perhaps completing this character arc, is one of the toughest decisions the group has to face. Will they save Erwin, the greatest commander to have ever lived, or Armin, the youthful promise of a better tomorrow? One of the main themes is also how young inherit the violence from the elders, a cycle that humans are destined to repeat until a few are wise enough to try and break it. But only the mightiest understand that despite the impossibility of this task, the effort to do so is what defines the next generation of humans. This becomes clear as we discover what's in the basement. We have waited so long for this, and we didn't think it would be worth it. It was. Again, Attack on Titan delivers with a forceful punch as we are transported outside the confines that we have grown accustomed to. And suddenly, we have to find our footing in the grand landscape of the world beyond the walls. This world is technologically advanced and much more similar to ours. This shock places me in a daze of awe and appreciation for how grounded the show was, despite its fantasy setting. But now, there is no more fantasy. We straight up have a recreation of Nazi Germany, coupled with internment camps and markings for those who are deemed filthy just by the nature of their gene pool. Turns out, normal humans can't turn into titans, but Eldians can. We have been rooting for literal monsters! What a brilliant choice to introduce us and guide us through the perspective of what are considered antagonists of this fictional world. While Eldians are dangerous because they can turn into titans, humans are almost deadlier because they got guns. Another long wait before Season 4. We have just learned that there is a whole new world out there that stretches far beyond the sea, and we just have to wait for a couple more years? Agony, pain, suffering. We will now take a brief intermission to show you Zeke, who is also the Beast Titan, carpet bomb an entire town by using his breath to turn people into titans! And also, Reiner reset. Okay, thank you. Intermission over. Then finally, the final part. Wait, no. Turns out it was the first part of the final part. No, then there's a second part. Oh yeah, and there's a third part. And how about the third part is split into 2 more parts? Who can keep up, man? We felt Season 4's dip in quality, and the departure of the beloved Wit Studio quaked our collective boots. The animation was a little janky, and Pixis had an abnormally large head. Still, I feel we all had hope. We all knew what Attack on Titan is, and what it could be. I personally think that some emotional scenes were robbed of their impact due to what we believe is a rush schedule. But that didn't really stop me. At this point, I was invested, and I was going to see this thing through, even if a child with crayons was going to animate the finale. Shinzo Wu Sasageyo! Eren has officially lost it. He just straight up invaded this military fortress and is wreaking havoc upon the innocent and the guilty. He has become unrecognizable in the eyes of his friends and also the viewer. But we knew that he was a little unstable from the start, yet we could not possibly fathom what kind of power he would attain and what kind of destruction he was about to cause. If Season 1 of Titans is hope, Season 2 belief, Season 3 trust, then Season 4 is straight up death. Everyone dies, and I again applaud the story for not letting any of their sacrifices go to waste. Every death felt impactful, and we mourned the losses of our favorite characters. Nobody was safe. In this part, a lot of the focus shifts from our main characters to a Marleyan group, and I absolutely adore Gabby's characterization. To see her begin on the same path as Eren and to be able to conquer the hate that Eren couldn't is a joy to experience on screen. She has a lot of dedicated screen time, and in my opinion, she's the personal growth queen of this show. Just as we begin to think that the mysteries are over, no. It's time for all the build-up from previous seasons to culminate in a resolution that feels even bigger than all of the big things we have already learned about. This time, we need the help of our big brother, and he's about to give us his blood in order to do something really crazy. A bloodbath ensues, and humans aren't done killing each other just yet. In an epic showdown, the line between victor and loser is blurred, with both sides taking heavy casualties. Zeke turns everyone into a Titan, without a moment's hesitation, and we're about to enter the endgame. As Gabby lines up her shot, she takes off Eren's head. This show justifies this character's actions so well, while in a different story, this shot could have been seen as cheap. We have seen ample evidence of Gabby being a talented sniper, a truth that is now evident for the whole world to see. A whole episode passes before we see the result of the bullet severing Eren's head. We are treated to a few more flashbacks in which we see a little girl called Ymir. Sounds familiar. Suddenly, there's a giant worm attaching Eren back to his body. Turns out he didn't die at all. And what's more, he was the one who apparently set this entire plan in motion. He was the one to tell his dad to attack and kill the original founder so he could have it for himself all those years later. But what is his goal of these time-traveling shenanigans? He wants to become a god. A reaper that will massacre all humanity beyond the walls. He initiates the most cataclysmic event that this world has ever faced, the rumbling. That's good motivation to finally put your differences aside and start working together. But sadly, it is too late. The force is too powerful, and there is no magic solution that nullifies the consequences of Eren's actions. 80% of humanity is eradicated. And in one final plot twist, we learn that Eren was actually a slave to fate. No matter what he tried to do, and no matter how he tried to alter the course of history, this seemed to be the best option to ensure the survival of his friends. He destroyed the world in order to save the little he could, the little that meant the most to him. We also learn that Eren was the one who sent the Titan that ate his mom, a sacrifice beyond any reason, and one final nail in the coffin, one final turn and twist that repeats the cyclical theme of this story. To be the willing cause of the most traumatic event of your life is a burden that turns Eren from an evil protagonist to a sympathetic anti-hero. We cannot understand his actions, as his scope of reasoning and understanding is way beyond ours. But with everything we've seen so far, we can catch a glimpse into his psyche, to experience the unescapable tragedy that awaits us all. One final stand, humanity tries to survive against impossible odds, and just like that, many sacrifice their lives in a final attempt to stand up to the evil oppression of fate. The last episode of Attack on Titan is a wonderful ending, filled with action and somehow a few more surprising discoveries. It wraps up most characters' arc and ends in the most sensible way possible. The cycle repeats, and the heroes are now just a long lost forgotten memory to the passage of time. We stand on the graves of those heroes so we can live in a better world today. Not a perfect world, just a little better to what it was before they've made their ultimate sacrifice. As these final scenes roll by, I would like to thank everyone who has watched this video through the end. Attack on Titan has left an incredible mark on me, and I will take its lessons to heart. The greatest stories do not just make us fall in love with the characters and leave us excited to see more, but they impart us with a memory that shapes us in their image. Until my very bitter end, I will carry an Attack on Titan shaped hole where my heart used to be, and I will mourn the day I saw the final credits roll. It helps me to know that I am not alone in feeling that way, that there are millions more out there with the exact same shape, filling the exact same spot. We will fight together, and we will fight alone, but we must continue to persevere for what is right. The greatest threat humanity faces is people giving up, so let us dedicate our hearts for the one cause we can all believe in. To you, 2,000 years from now.